What's going on, everybody? Scott Bogman here for Betting Pros to give you my favorite picks and props for Week 10 of the college football season. Before we dive in on the recap from Week 9 and get to the Week 10 picks and props, let me remind you guys, if you're looking to up your game in sports betting, join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers who provide free picks for the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, player props, live betting, and more, but now you can also participate in our weekly community picks. Cast your vote, see how your picks stack up against the experts, and track your success. You can do that all today at bettingpros.com/chat. All right, let's take a look back at Week 9. Pretty solid week. We didn't get our main bet, our Hard Rock bet of the week. Alabama did not look good against South Carolina on the road. Didn't cover 11. They didn't hold South Carolina to under 16.5 either. But the only other bet I missed last week was the over in the Cincinnati-Baylor game because Baylor didn't score for the first quarter and a half of that game. Everything else we got, Ole Miss plus 5.5, they won straight up against Oklahoma. BYU plus 2.5, they also won straight up against Iowa State, 41-27. Cincinnati did cover the 3.5. They won 41-20 over Baylor. Auburn and Arkansas barely got the over, but we got it 33-24, and it was 56.5. So just a half point over, but a win's a win. Toledo at Washington under 46.5. We crushed that one 28-7. And Tennessee team total over 31.5 at Kentucky. That one was over at halftime. They won 56-34. So 6-3 on the week, making me 45-43 for the season. Not too bad. We'll take over 500. Also, over 500 on the props, 4-3 last week, bringing us to the season 46-44. We did get the Haynes King touchdown, as we just always do. Chris Bell did not get one. We didn't get Luke Altmaier over 229.5 against Washington. He had 199. We got Joey Aguilar over 1.5 passing touchdowns against Kentucky. He had 3. Same thing with Ty Simpson. That was the only thing in the Bama game I got, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He had 2. BYU running back LJ Martin had 5 rushes for 15 yards and a score. He got hurt, so I actually did get my money back on that bet, but he did get injured in that game, so we didn't clear it. And the Michigan State wide receiver Nick Marsh over, I think it was 4.5 receptions. He had 6. I also had 59.5 yards. He had 75. So either way you bet that one, I had that one. So let's move to the picks for Week 10. The first one we're going to go with Penn State, Ohio State over 9.5 points in the first quarter. Both of these teams are coming off a bye week. That gives you more time to script up these plays. Ohio State's Julian Sand has been excellent. He's at the top of a lot of Heisman boards right now. I think Ohio State can probably do this themselves. Penn State's defense is going to be okay, but their offense is real rough. They may be setting up a lot of short fields. They also have a very good coordinator, Andy Koltnicki, and I believe that he will be able to scheme something up to at least get them in field goal range. So I think a touchdown for Ohio State and a field goal for Penn State is an easy ask, and if Penn State just cannot move the ball at all, Ohio State's going to get the ball again. With a couple weeks to script up these plays, there's probably 2 or 3 scripted drives for them this week. So I really do like this over in the first quarter of 9.5. It's just a low total there. We're going to go over for the full game in North Texas Navy, over 65.5. And I know a lot of people remember the the Army in North Texas game that was 14-3 last year. But they played Army this year too, and it was 45-38. So these are 2 top 20 scoring offenses, and they match up well against the opposing defense. Navy has been awful at stopping the pass, 117th in the country, and North Texas crushes with the pass. They're more balanced this year, but we saw Mestamaker throw for 606 yards last week. Now, that was against Charlotte. Navy's way better than Charlotte, but I think that they can score some points. Also, North Texas cannot stop the run. That's why they lost, or that's why they gave up so many points to Army. They gave up a ton of points to Army, and it was 367 rushing yards, I believe, for Army in that game. And this is the number 1 rushing offense in the country, Navy. So I think Navy's going to put up some points. I think North Texas is going to put up some points, and this total has dropped. I believe it started out at 67.5. It's now 65.5. So just wait until Saturday morning and see if it keeps on dropping. I think it will. I'm taking the over. The public is very much on the under in that game because that is a lot of points, but I think this one covers. Look, we're going to bash South Carolina again, and I understand if you don't want to be on this one because South Carolina bit me last week, but I think the way that they lost that game against Alabama at home, the whole stadium is ready to rush the field, and then Lenora Sellers fumbles on their own side. Alabama picks it up, scores a touchdown, goes up, and then they end the game on another sack from Lenora Sellers. I mean, they had some really good drives against Alabama, but I think when you play your absolute best football of the year and you still cannot win, I think that's going to take the sails out of this offense here. And the offense that has been struggling anyway. They're below 100th in everything statistical. They're below 100 in everything except for passing grade in terms of PFF grades and things like that. This offense is just not good. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin has never missed a game that they want to run the score up on. I understand that a lot of people are sniffing around Lane Kiffin right now for open head coaching jobs. I don't know why he would move. I think he should stick. He's got a good thing going at Ole Miss, and I think they can go over the top here and just smoke South Carolina, a team that has probably, looking ahead to next year more than anything. Iowa State and Arizona State, we're going to take the under 48.5 in this game, and we're also going to take the ASU under 20.5 in that one. Look, this game, Arizona State is a mess right now. Brown is out. Levitt is out. Tyson is doubtful. Your three best playmakers on offense are all down. The one game Jeff Sims started was a rough one against, on the road at Utah, but they only scored 10 points. He has been not great this season. I mean, I respect him for staying at Arizona State and not going after another job, good dude and everything, but I do not think that they are going to be in this game with Iowa State. And I'm obviously, you guys have heard me, I'm not the biggest Iowa State fan for this year, but I do think that they are going to smoke Arizona State because I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of scoring from the Devils in this game on the road. So, give me the under 48.5. I just think this one gets ugly in Iowa State's favor. We're going to lay the points for Georgia minus 7.5 versus Florida in the cocktail party here. Georgia has won this game by 14 or more points 4 straight years. Florida is a decent team, and we remember last year Florida was winning this game, kind of going away before Lagway got hurt, but they just had nothing else on offense. This is not the same team from last year, and I just think that this Georgia team is a little too dominant. I think if you're giving me under double digits to take Georgia in this game against Florida, I get the dead cat bounce, and I've been wrong on that. I've been right on it before, so I have ignored it and won. I've ignored it and lost. I just don't think it matters so much in this game, right? This is a neutral site game, so there's no home field advantage for Florida here. Georgia travels well, very strong team. Gunnar Stockton wants to win this game for his grandfather, who passed away after a Florida loss as a huge Georgia fan in the parking lot. I just read that 10 minutes before jumping on here. There's a lot of motivation for Georgia to win this game. They could be looking ahead next week to Texas, but Texas is not good enough to look at ahead to right now. So, I think Georgia's going to win this game kind of going away. So if you're going to give me less than 10 points, I'm taking it and laying them with the dogs. Let's go to Arizona minus 3.5 at Colorado. Colorado is a complete and utter disaster right now. This is a 100% vibes game, right? Colorado was destroyed in their last game. They look bad. They look uninterested. I think DeSean might get out of here. And I know a lot of people with DeSean are eye-rolly about him, but he's a great recruiter. The X's and O's maybe are not the best from him, but he has done a really good job at Colorado, but his health is not great. I just don't think he needs this stress in this job. So I think he's going to be out pretty quick here, and I think we're seeing that in this performance for Colorado at the end of the year, and I think this one is going to be bad. I think Arizona's going to win at Colorado, and this is, you guys have heard me say it, this is not my favorite Arizona team that I've ever seen. So I don't think they're very good, but I do think they're a lot better than Colorado is right now. So give me the Wildcats on the road and lay the points. The last one might be one of my favorite bets. It's my second favorite bet for this week. We'll get to my favorite when we get to the Hard Rock bet of the week at the end here, but Washington State minus 3.5 at Oregon State in the rain. We have seen the last 3 weeks of Washington State play some unbelievable football. They almost beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss a couple weeks ago. So I just think Washington State is playing really, really good football. Oregon State has not played good football this entire season. This is on the road. I don't really care. Washington State has traveled well. I think they win this game going away. I just think they're a much better team than the current state of Oregon State. Let me remind you guys before we get to the props to track your bets, stay accountable, and level up by downloading the Betting Pros app. With Sportsbook Sync, you can automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. You can create custom betting systems and find winning trends and profitable opportunities. Get a 7-day free trial at bettingpros.com by using the code JUICE, JUICE, and activating your trial on the upgrade screen. Getting to the Week 10 props here, I got 3 touchdown calls for you. I'm going to ignore that old Haynes King one. That is still a very good bet. You can add it with whatever you want. NC State's a tough place to play, but Haynes King has scored a touchdown every week. Just the juice is getting ridiculously bad on it. So I think it's like minus 185 or minus 220 or somewhere in that range. It was real bad when I looked at it. So we're going to skip that one. We're going to go with 2 quarterback ones here and a running back one. Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson versus Texas Tech. I just really like the way that Kansas State has been playing. The defense in particular had 4 takeaways last week against Kansas. I don't know if they're going to do that against Behren Morton, but we know Behren Morton is playing at less than 100%. So I think that they can get some turnovers in this game, and Avery Johnson's going to be able to score a little bit. John Mateer, the Oklahoma quarterback against Tennessee. Look, I love the over in this game. We'll get to that in a minute here, but I think Oklahoma and Tennessee are both going to score a decent amount of points here. Tennessee, typically, like they did last week, they can score on anybody. I don't know if they can stop anybody. Kentucky put up points against them last week and had some massive plays. So I do think John Mateer will run in for a touchdown this week. And on the flip side, in that game, let's go with Tennessee running back DeSean Bishop. He scores a touchdown basically every game. I think, Oklahoma's defense has been really good, but we spoke about this last week, and we were right on that over. Oklahoma had not played any really good offenses until they played Ole Miss last week. And Tennessee is a better offense than Ole Miss. They're not a better team, but they are a better offense for sure. So I think Tennessee's going to be able to score. They can't stop anybody. I think Oklahoma, they've had 26 points 2 weeks in a row, which for them is really good. And especially with the way that John Mateer is playing. He's not playing his best football, but still good enough to put points up. So I think all 3 of those guys are scoring touchdowns this week. The yardage props and such, we're going to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns at Nebraska for USC quarterback Jayden Maiava. He's hit this in 4 straight games, and a big thing in this game is that we know Matt Rule's career record against ranked teams is bad. I believe 2-23, something like that. The thing for Maiava in this game and why I would take USC, even on the road in a tough environment at Nebraska, is that they do not put any pressure on the quarterback. And when you go and look at the statistics for being kept clean, Jayden Maiava is top 10 in completion percentage, yardage, touchdowns, big-time throw. He's just so good in a clean pocket. Nebraska's been putting no pressure on quarterbacks here. So I think that is going to continue to be a trend. I think USC is going to win this game. I think it'll be a tight one. Might win by a field goal, but I think Maiava is going to put some points on the board and throw for more than 1.5 touchdowns. We're going to go with Minnesota quarterback Drake Lindsey over 208.5 passing yards versus Michigan State. Michigan State has been really bad against the pass this year. 88th in the pass against the pass statistically, 112th in grade. Drake Lindsey hasn't been great over the recent weeks, but they've had some really tough matchups recently, and I think that this one is kind of a softie against Michigan State. I think they're going to be able to pass the ball. Darius Taylor, their stud running back, is questionable in this game. He's already been hurt a few times this season and missed a couple games, so I think we might have him miss again, and they're going to depend on Drake Lindsey, and when Drake Lindsey gets going, he can throw the ball. I think he's going to be fine in this game. We mentioned Behren Morton being banged up, but also The backup quarterback Will Hammond tore his ACL, so they just are out of options here at Texas Tech. So Behren Morton's going to start. He's listed as probable. He's going to play. I don't think he's 100%. I think he's going to try to get rid of that ball before taking some hits in this game, and I think it's going to lead to a pick. So we're going to go over half an interception for Behren Morton. Going to running backs here. I have 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver prop for you. Arizona running back Kedrick Reescano, over 50.5 rush yards at Colorado. Maiava was their starter, but Reescano has been he's been doing the work in the backfield recently. Got hurt earlier this year. Maiava had some good games, but since he's come back the last 2 games, Reescano has led in carries. So we're going to think that continues against a Colorado team that I believe had 19 players listed on the injury report. I believe it was 6 for Arizona. It was under 10. I know that. And 13 of those guys were questionable, doubtful, or out for Colorado. I just think the effort has gone out of the air for the Buffs for the rest of the season. And then we are going to move over to Washington State. Their running back, Kirby Vorhees. We talked about this game against Oregon State. We're going to go over 52.5 rushing yards for him. They played some tough run defenses recently, but Oregon State is in the 80s in stats and grades against the run. Vorhees is getting a lot of carries recently, so I think he's going to go well over this 52.5. I think that number is way too low. And we're going to end props with Mississippi State wide receiver Brenen Thompson, over 64.5 receiving yards at Arkansas. Love Arkansas overs. This one was a little high for my taste this week, but that's why we love the props. I mean, Brenen Thompson, 23 targets, 13 catches, 231 yards in the last 2 games, and that's against Texas and Florida. Much stronger defenses than Arkansas has. So I think Brenen Thompson's going to have another very strong game here against Arkansas. I think both offenses are going to be strong there. All right, let's move to the Hard Rock bet of the week. And I mentioned it before. I teased it a little bit. It's going to be the Tennessee-Oklahoma over 55.5. I absolutely love this bet. I think Tennessee is going to be able to score on anyone they play this season. Oklahoma's defense has been strong statistically and in grades. We mentioned the weaknesses of not the teams they played. They played some really strong defensive teams, which is why their offensive numbers look worse, right? So it's kind of a half and half. We're giving them more credit on offense, less credit on defense. But I think just from the schedule that they played, their defense is very strong. It's probably top 10 in the country. I don't know that anybody is really stopping Tennessee with the way they've been playing. Joey Aguilar has been an absolutely perfect fit for this Tennessee offense since Nico Maiava left. So I just think that Tennessee scores on anybody. Kentucky did a great job holding Texas the week before, and Tennessee went in there and ran roughshod over them, 56 points, right? I think Tennessee's going to do that at home against Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to be able to move the ball because Tennessee's defense has been rough. Remember the Tennessee-Georgia game in Tennessee, 44-41 in overtime. So I just see a lot of points being scored in this game, and I think that is going to hit easily. So let me remind you guys about Hard Rock Bet. This is our last show of the week before Sunday. So if you're looking for more insights on week 9, you can check out Hard Rock Bet Stat Hub right there in the app. Dallas has won 14 in a row as favorites following a loss. Indianapolis is on a 12-game winning streak against the AFC. Josh Jacobs has scored a touchdown in 12 straight games against the NFC. You can see all of these and more. They're all just one tap away on Hard Rock Bet on the Stats Hub right there in the app. Check it out. And if you still haven't placed your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, it's not too late. You can place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you'll score $150 in bonus bets on top of your payout. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. All right, let's review before we take off here. Week 10 picks. Penn State, Ohio State, first quarter, over 9.5. North Texas Navy, over 65.5. Ole Miss, minus 12.5 for South Carolina. Tennessee, Oklahoma, over 55.5. Iowa State, Arizona State, under 48.5. Plus, Arizona State, under 20.5 in that game, the team total. Georgia, minus 7.5 versus Florida. Arizona, minus 3.5 at Colorado. Washington State, minus 3.5 at Oregon State. For the picks, the props, we're going 3 touchdowns Avery Johnson against Texas Tech, John Mateer against Tennessee, Deshaun Bishop versus Oklahoma. Our yardage and touchdown props, Maiava over 1.5 passing, Drake Lindsey over 208.5 passing yards, Behren Morton over half a pick, Kedrick Reescano over 50.5 rushing yards, Kirby Vorhees over 52.5 rushing yards, and Mississippi State wide receiver Brenen Thompson over 64.5 receiving yards at Arkansas. That is everything. Good luck on your bets this week, and I will see you next week. Take it easy, everybody.